Hello, good morning, and this is Pastor O, the Vision Overseer of the Cyber Embassy of Christ for All Nations, the all-internet church that God is using to minister to people on the internet while they are on the internet. And I want to welcome you to the third session of the Discovering Class 101 membership at the Cyber Embassy of Christ for All Nations. This is the four-part class where we for those who want to go deeper and become full official members of our church, this is the first training that they take. It's the first in our four-class training to help you to develop not just as a church member, but as a Christian. But this first class itself is called Class 101, Discovering Church Membership. And hopefully you have already watched the first two sessions, and this is the third session in the four-part class. And I'm believing God that as you continue to watch this program, the Lord himself will keep ministering to you as to the purpose for which he brought you to the Cyber Embassy of Christ for All Nations, so that the purpose for which you are brought here will be fulfilled, and you yourself will fulfill destiny for whatever and however long you have been destined to be here. So without much ado, I'm just going to go to our presentation, our PowerPoint, so that I can quickly take us through this class. It's a 1 hour class, of course, with some time for question and answer at the end of the presentation. So today we are at the session 3 of the Discovering Class 101 membership at the Cyber Embassy of Christ. Session 1, we talk about our salvation. Session 2, we talk about the purposes of the church. And in this session 3, we are going to be talking about the Cyber Embassy strategy for fulfilling its purpose. We've always believed that if you don't have a strategy to fulfill your assignment, you make things difficult for the Holy Spirit to be able to guide you. You have to pray. You have to have a plan of action. Everybody God has called us to do something always add a plan of action. Of course, the Holy Spirit is the one that makes all things happen. The Holy Spirit is the one that gives direction. The Holy Spirit is the one that executes. But your job, your part, our part in the process is to actually do the one we can do as human beings, while God, we be God in the process. So in session 1, we talk about our salvation, the thing that binds us together as a church. We're a church of believers who believe in the Christ and the teachings of Christ and the example of Christ and the sacrifice of Christ. We shared all of that just in case there was anybody who wanted to join the church who didn't understand or appreciate what salvation is all about. And hopefully, if you are still in this session 3, we hope you have already committed your life to Christ, either at that session 1 or before that time. In session 2, we identify the purposes of Cyber Embassy of Christ as a church. That the purpose of any church is not something the pastor sits down somewhere and says, what should my church be doing? Christ was clear on what his church should be doing. He gave us the Great Commandment and the Great Commission, which are the two things that actually form the bedrock of the purposes of the Cyber Embassy of Christ. We discussed that in session 2 yesterday of this program, where we talked about where our 5 purposes came from. The purpose to the worship purpose came from worship the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. And then the ministry purpose comes from loving your neighbor as yourself. And then we took the Great Commission from where it says, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Go is where we got the evangelism purpose, that we are supposed to go out there and share the word of God. Baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is bringing them into the fellowship of Christ. That's what baptism is all about, and we shared that yesterday also. And then teaching them to obey everything that Christ taught was discipleship. So that's why we got our 5 purposes as a church. Everything we do as a church revolves around those 5 purposes. Anything that is not furthering those 5 purposes, we simply do not do. Any doctrine that takes us away from any of those 5 purposes, we will not do. We are strict Christ followers. We obey Christ's words. We do what Christ told us to do in the Great Commandment and the Great Commission. All of that we discussed yesterday. This third session, we are now going to talk about what is our strategy, what's our thinking to be able to achieve those purposes that we identified yesterday. We have 5 purposes: the worship purpose, ministry purpose, evangelism purpose, fellowship purpose, and discipleship purpose. But how do you make that happen in your church? You can identify your purpose, but if you don't have a means of going to achieve it, it is simply not going to happen. And that is the whole idea of this session 3, the Cyber Embassy strategy. How do we want to get there? Who are we trying to reach? If you are just like in anything in life, if you have a purpose to fulfill, you have to ask yourself, who are you trying to reach? Because as Paul said in 1 Corinthians 9:22, yes, whatever a person is like, I try to find common ground with him, so he will let me tell him about Christ and let Christ save him. I like the Living Bible translation of this. Is really nice. Essentially, he's saying that you want to find common ground so that you can have opportunity to share Christ. So same way, you have to find, we as a church, we look for who can we find common ground with, because obviously we can't have common ground with everybody in the world or every type of people. There must be some specific type of people that we can find common ground with so that we can focus our ministry on that for more effectiveness. If this is making sense to you, I need you to give me 100 in the chat box right now. All right, please put 100 in your chat box, whether you are watching the live presentation with me right now or whether you are watching the recorded version later. Every comment that you post will receive a notification, even if it is not live, and somebody will respond to you. We know you are here. We know you are watching this program right now, if you are not doing the live one with me as I am right now. So we came up with what is called the Cyber Embassy David and Mary. And that concept is based on this Pauline strategy. I call it the Pauline strategy for focused outreach. Paul said you must find common ground. That's Paul's own strategy. He finds common ground with some people so that I can by all means be able to influence them. That's why he saw that Paul was talking more to the Gentiles, because he was a Roman citizen who also had Jewish citizenship. People can relate to him, and you can see his arguments were mostly to the people who can understand logic, because he himself was a lawyer. That's why he wanted to go to that I must go to Rome, because he wanted to preach the word in the palace of Caesar, where the most, obviously the best, the most intelligent are, because he believed if he can get those people in the palace of Caesar to accept Christ, then it's just a matter of time before Christ will take over the whole Roman Empire. Very strategic. And you see, a lot of his teachings were directed to the Jews that he had common ground with, common heritage. He tried with the Jews, but as you can see, they really were not listening to him. Okay, so at some point he got upset and said, I'm just going to go to the Gentiles. So his ministry was to the Gentiles. His ministry was to people in the Roman Empire, because he had that heritage. So that is the basis of our own Cyber Embassy Michael and Mary, which I'm going to share with you a little bit more in this session. So the goal of the Great Commission and the prayer of every church obviously should be to reach the entire world for Jesus Christ. I mean, we also recognize at the same time that every church has been sent to a specific set of people. While our prayer is to be able to reach the world, the reality that we must face in every one of our churches, in our organizations, and especially, of course, at Cyber Embassy, is that every church has been sent to a specific set of people. Just like we believe we've been sent to those who are on the internet while they are on the internet. That is why we have an all-internet church. We've been sent to a specific set of people. There are some people that just will not receive our message, the same way some people never received the message of Jesus, same way some people never received the message of Paul, same way some people didn't receive the message of Peter. We have all been sent to specific people, and we want to do our best to identify who those are so that we can have the best outreach we can possibly have. Knowing who we can best reach is important to maximizing our ministry efforts and our ministry resources. Because if you don't have a focused effort in your ministry, what you're going to do is you're going to waste a lot of resources, a lot of energy, trying and banging your head to reach people who just won't listen to you. I remember when I first became a pastor of a physical church right here in Omaha, Nebraska. I had this great vision of having lots of white people. I wanted the church to have more white people, more colored people, more Hispanic people than even Africans. And it was a struggle because apart from my accent, apart from my positioning, I was a top immigration lawyer right here in Omaha, Nebraska. I've literally helped thousands of people to get their green card, to get their citizenship, to get visas to come to the US. So most of the people that I can influence, most of the people that crowd towards me are the African community from Nigeria, Ghana, Togo and co. And I was trying my best to get away from them. I was advertising to white people. I was advertising to Hispanic people because I felt I should have, because I'm in the US, I must have a mixed church. Until it occurred to me that after struggling so much, that why am I wasting so much energy? Wasting money on advertisement to the white people who can't even understand my accent when they come. Or when they do, the way we preach, the way we pray is considered violent to some of them. The way our children pray in our children group, some of them got scared. You know the way African kids are. They are very strong. They are very, more or less, call it quote unquote violent. When they are playing, they can just grab your toy and push you. Nobody gets offended by that for most Africans. But for white people, that was a major issue. Somebody almost sued us for something that my daughter did, saying that my daughter yelled at her daughter and the daughter was crying because my daughter is big for her age. It was a major issue. Then it occurred to me that why am I neglecting the primary focus? There's a reason God put me in Omaha, Nebraska. There's a reason God allowed me to be an immigration lawyer. There's a reason why God allowed me to be able to help thousands of Africans. Maybe He wants to use it in my ministry. Let me minister to the African community because they see me as an authority figure. They can hear me very well. All those examples about witches in the village or in-laws and all that stuff, they've had it before. They are not offended. They are not surprised when I give examples using those type of our cultural things. And I changed my ministry towards that, and it was night and day. Overnight, we literally exploded. The church that I started is still the biggest African church in Nebraska right now, more than 20 years, and about maybe 13 years after I left it. My point is, it is important for you to know who to reach and who to focus. I can then do ministrations. I can do special programs that I know these people want. So, and this is nothing philosophical. It's not like this is biblical. So I didn't just sit down and came up with that idea that we must focus. When I told my ministers then that we're going to focus from now on African community, we're going to sing African music, we're going to preach African type of sermons, we're going to decorate our children place the way children in Africa will feel very comfortable. Some of them were aghast. But eventually I had to tell, they thought I was being philosophical, that I brought Arthur Anderson system into church. I said, no, this is biblical. Jesus himself had a focused ministry. Remember when Jesus was alive, his ministry was specifically to the Jews, to the downtrodden Jews specifically. He did not preach to the intellectuals. He did not preach to the Pharisees. He preached to the downtrodden Jews, and not just any downtrodden Jews, people, only Jews. As a matter of fact, he specifically ordered his disciples while he was alive not to go preach to the Gentiles. Of course, when he died, he released them and told them to go to Samaria and go to the whole world. But while he himself was alive, his own specific ministry was focused on downtrodden Jews. He had a purpose because he wanted to first entrench his teaching among the Jews before it would not be allowed to go all out to the world. So he was focused. When he was sending them out to go and evangelize, he said, I don't want you to go into any house of the Gentiles. I want you to go to the lost house of Israel. Even when non-Jewish people come to him for miracle, he was very reluctant to grant them miracle. Remember that woman, that Greco-Phoenician woman who came and said, my daughter was sick. Jesus told him, is it okay for me to give the food of children to dogs? Basically saying, this, what I've got, is not for the people like you. In today's world, that will be considered very racist. But the woman did not even blink. She said, yeah, I got it. Yes, even the dogs get to eat something that fall from the master's table, recognizing our place. I know a lot of people will be affronted in today's world with that. This is part of what is wrong with the world now. We are too sensitive to everything. But my point is, Jesus clearly defined his ministry. All his disciples were Jewish. He did not try to balance it. He did not go and bring somebody from China. He did not try to go and bring somebody who is foreign. Every one of those 12 disciples he called were Jewish. So Jesus had a focused ministry. Paul had a focused ministry. When he also started, because he was both Jewish and also a Roman citizen, but he had a lot of upbringing among the Romans, he tried to preach to the Jews. But the Jews were resisting him because his level was maybe too high for them, and because also maybe there's some resentment, the fact that he also had Roman citizenship. Whatever the reason, he was struggling until he decided that he was going to focus his ministry on Gentiles, and he declared so, that I'm no longer going to preach to you Jews, I'm going to preach to the Gentiles. And his ministry exploded. Today, we are still talking about him because he had a core audience. Peter had a core audience focus. Peter was all about Jews because that was his upbringing. That's what he knew. Those are the people that can listen to him. Those are the people that can understand some of his examples when he's trying to teach them about Christ. It got so bad to the point that Paul even had to quarrel with him because he started putting some Jewish practices into preaching the word. And that's the whole book of Galatians, where Paul openly disputed with him. They can't be telling them that they must be circumcised before they can say they are born again, because that is not part of what Jesus taught. But you can understand where Peter was coming from. Peter was talking from his core audience focus. Those are the kind of things that the Jews understood. Peter had a focused audience. Pastor Adeboye in Africa, the biggest church in Africa by far, and I always say maybe the second biggest church in the world when you take out the Catholic Church now, because when you are talking about almost 600,000 parishes worldwide, over 500 and something thousand parishes, even if all those parishes are only 30 people, that's a lot of people. And they have some mega churches. He also had a focus. When he came in, he was a PhD holder in a church that was basically very conservative, a church that was mostly manned by a lot of people who are, I would say, illiterate, people who are not as educated as him. And he came up with this idea that if I'm going to reach people like me, lecturers, people who are doing well, people who really want to experience a new form of the gospel, even though the message itself won't be changed, who want to experience it in a different format. I have to start a new model parish. He started what is called model parishes and gave the pastors that started it for him specific instructions on the type of people to look for. Go look for professionals, lawyers, doctors, workers, people who have means, people who are modern in their approach, people who are not hung up on old-time religion. Initially, he also was resisted by the church. Many people left the church, so they now have, or many people refused to go to even those who didn't leave the church refused to go to the model parishes. They now call the other ones classical churches. But within a few years, the model parishes exploded with professionals, doctors, lawyers, nurses, engineers, who can relate to him because he was a PhD holder himself. And then the way he organized the church made it in a way that makes it very comfortable for professionals and for people who are not hardcore religious people to be able to come. And that has been his focus since. Pastor Olukoya and Mountain of Fire, also another big church in Nigeria, they are known for their prayer. Their primary focus is for those who want to go heavy on prayer, who have one thing or the other that is besetting them, or who have something, one thing or the other. They want to pray about. People who believe in militant prayer. There are some people you will not find dead, even though they are Christians, in Mountain of Fire Church. Not because Mountain of Fire is not a Christian church, but because it's not their thing. Every church must maximize, must have a primary focus. Of course, it does not mean you won't minister to anybody else who come to your church, but you want to have a primary focus so that you can put all your energy in having the maximum impact. Miles Monroe, my own mentor of blessed memory, had a focused crowd. He had this kingdom message crowd where he preaches more on experiential Christianity, how to enjoy the kingdom of heaven right here on earth. And there's some people that is a crowd, that is the kind of teaching that resonates with them. To the more cerebral, he's more cerebral. He talks in a more like a Pauline type of thing. Okay, he breaks it down for you step by step, precept by precept, in a way that forces you to think, not just having an emotional experience as a Christian. He also was focused. Pastor Adeyemi, another big church in Africa. Sorry, I'm using a lot of African experiences. Again, that's my experience. That's what I know. Even though I've lived in the US over 20 years, most of the churches I've attended have had African orientation, so forgive me. But every minister is being called to a certain set of people. This pastor gravitated towards youths and youth empowerment. So when you go to his church at any Sunday, 80% of the people there are people under 40 years old. Why? Because his messages resonate with them and he focuses on them. He does empowerment programs for the youths. He does marriage counseling. He heavily teaches single events, things that resonate with a particular crowd of people. And those are his core audience. Yonggi Cho in South Korea also had his own focus ministry. T.D. Jakes in Dallas, for 15 years where he was before, they said his church could not even grow beyond 120, 150 people until he migrated to Dallas and changed the whole concept entirely and changed his whole focus. And the church exploded. You need to go Google T.D. Jakes in Dallas and read about his ministry. For 15 years, he had a specific type of focus he was focusing on, and he was trying to, and he didn't have a specific focus, he was trying to reach everybody. But his church never grew more than 150 people until he migrated to Dallas and then decided to sit down and think about the specific type of people he really wanted to reach. The beauty of it is that when you narrow the type of people you can best reach and you start hitting it, other tangential people will also be attracted. So your church may ultimately still get mixed by different types of people, but your primary focus will be to a demographic. So as Cyber Embassy, we clearly define our core target geographically, demographically, and culturally, so that we can know those we can best reach. So it's important, since you are joining the church, to also understand this, because you're going to see us do some programming, you're going to see us do some services, and you might be wondering, why are we doing that? But once you understand that we have a core audience we are trying to reach, we have a core audience of people we are trying to target, that we believe that God has sent us to, then it will all make sense. We even define our core target spiritually. Those 4 demographics are very important in terms of trying to narrow down those that we believe we can reach at Cyber Embassy. So we came up with a visualized, personalized core target. Now, most of what we are doing, we have a specific core target in mind. Of course, it should be for everybody. We expect everybody to enjoy it. But for us to have the maximum effect, like I've been explaining with all the other ministries that have personalized targets, we also have our own. We call it the Cyber Embassy Michael and Mary. We actually have a different graphic for the lady part of our church. Excuse me, I couldn't find that picture right now, but we had a picture with both a man and a woman. We call it the Cyber Embassy Michael and Mary. Okay, and they all have identical characteristics. So the people we are trying to reach, and if you look at yourself, if you are watching this live with me now, maybe you are watching the recorded version later, you're going to find out that 70% of these characteristics you already have. Otherwise, you won't even be here, because we specifically look for people like you. Our messages resonate with people like you. Our messages won't resonate with people that we're not trying to reach because of the way we present it. The people that we believe we are being called to minister to as a core audience must be somebody who's an active internet surfer. If you don't like going online, Cyber Embassy cannot even resonate with you, because we are an all internet church. We don't have a physical building. We don't plan to have one. We don't have physical events. We don't plan to have one. All our events are online. So if you are not an active internet surfer, obviously we have not been called for you. And so all our preaching, all our presentations don't talk about or don't focus on those who don't even go on the internet, because we can't reach them. Our typical target spends at least 2 hours online every day. Ask yourself as you're watching this, you probably are one of those people who spend at least 2 hours online. By that, I mean that you check, by the time you do cumulative calculation of all the time you spent online, checking your mail, on social media, surfing, whatever. It will average out to at least 2 hours a day. It's amazing how many hours people spend online. I spend 8-10 hours a day without even realizing it. If somebody were to ask me, I would say maybe I spend an hour online until the day I actually sat down to try to keep track. It's amazing. All right, our typical cyber embassy Michael is somebody who's skeptical of organized religion. In other words, they are not caught on, they are not slaves of any religion. So they are open-minded to be able to hear a truth that they probably have not considered before. And we do a lot of that. We do a lot of challenges. So if you are the hardcore organized religious person, we probably won't resonate with you. I'm not saying churches that are bad. I'm just saying we have our core target. So when we are, for instance, we are challenging some long-held traditions about religion, is because we know what our core audience is. Our core audience is somebody who is skeptical. They want to know more. They are not afraid to ask questions that their regular churches have not been able to answer for them. I mean, questions like, for instance, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That means there is more than one heaven. So we have to ask the question, which heaven is God at? If there is more than one heaven, which heaven are you going when you die? Those are legitimate questions. If there's more than one, but most organized churches don't even want to hear that. As far as they are concerned, there's only one heaven and there's nothing to discuss. But Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 is clear. He created the heavens, plural, and the earth. But somebody who is not a slave to organized religion will at least be willing to listen. They don't have to agree. We may not even know the answer. I'm not saying I have all the answers to all the issues of the Bible. I'm just saying that we must be open enough to discuss it. We are looking for people who are attracted to innovations and innovative ways of doing things, because we are going to be doing a lot of innovative stuff. For instance, somebody who is averse to innovative ways of doing the same old message might be aghast if we say we want to do Holy Communion and we're going to do the Holy Communion online. Everybody from home, join us with your bread and your wine in front of you and let's do communion together. That's an innovative way. The message, the central message will never change, but the means of delivering it will always be dynamic, has always been dynamic. Somebody who is not into innovation might not buy into the idea of a Bible study that is on the internet, where you join a Bible study from home and you guys discuss the Bible the same way you are in your church auditorium. But we are doing that. We're doing it very well. Where every Thursday people gather from their computers. We have guests online. We can all chat and interact about the Bible. Somebody teaches, somebody asks questions, and people answer. And our members don't have a problem with that because they understand innovative ways of doing stuff. They like that. Somebody who sees technology as a tool to be embraced rather than feared. If you're one of those people who believe the internet is made of the devil, our church can't relate to you. We also can't relate to you. We're not looking for you. Now you're getting where I'm going here. Because if you're somebody who believes the internet is a tool of the devil, I don't even think you're going to get to this session 3. So that tells us we are part of the people that we need in our audience. People are vocal about societal issues. Because we believe that the church was put on this earth for a reason too. We are supposed to be sharing the kingdom message. We are supposed to be kingdom ambassadors. But we live in this society, so we have to speak to it. Our home may be heaven, but this is where we operate right now. And where we operate should have the presence of the kingdom of God. And where it is not, we should speak to it. People who think churches and governments are not doing enough, those are the type of people we are appealing to. People like modern contemporary music, because we bring different types of music from all over the world at any time. People who enjoy, who can worship with any type of modern contemporary music. We don't sing hymns in our church for a reason. Like I said, the people we're appealing to are people who have specific characteristics. Playing hymns will probably bore them to death. People who are active on several social media accounts at the same time. Because we're on several social media. We're on Telegram, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok. We're on practically every social media out there. And people that will resonate with us are people who are active on many accounts at the same time, even if they're not using all of them as aggressively as the other. People are comfortable around people they've never met before. That's like Cyber Embassy Michael, because most of the people you are going to be interacting with as members of your church in different fellowships that we're setting up online will be people you've never met before. So if you are not comfortable with people you've never met before, Cyber Embassy probably won't appeal to you. So that we appeal to people who are comfortable joining groups on WhatsApp, joining groups on Facebook, who are not thinking that just by joining a group, somebody's going to hack them and take all their money from their bank. Not those who are paranoid about people they've never met. And then people, of course, who are comfortable with digital shopping and e-commerce. A big part of what we are going to be teaching in our church is how people can use internet to achieve their financial goals. We're heavy on that. That is where we are going to be taking our offering and tithe, obviously, since we are all online. It has to be people who are comfortable doing that. Those are our core target. So people with these characteristics are the people we focus on as a church. Active internet surfers, active on several accounts, spends at least 2 hours online every day, joins several social media, internet and social media groups. Somebody who is skeptical about organized religion. In other words, they don't take everything that is given to them hook, line, and sinker, even as they are faithful Christians. Not very dogmatic or religious on religious practices. They'll do it, but they're not dogmatic about it, that it has to be done a certain way or it's not God. People are attracted to innovative ways of doing things. People embrace technology rather than fear it. People are vocal about political and social issues because we intend to be very vocal in those areas, so that you are not saying, why is my church getting involved in political matters? Why is my church getting involved in social matters? We are looking for those who don't have that type of problem with their churches. Those who think churches are not doing enough and should be doing more other than just asking people to give. They should also be giving to people. They should also be more involved in things other than what they do in their buildings. People like variety of music from anywhere and comfortable around strangers, comfortable with digital shopping. If I were a betting man, I would say if you are still watching this, 90% of this probably apply to you, or at least 80%. That makes you a typical Cyber Embassy Michael or Mary, if you're a woman. So we focus on our evangelistic target. Now that we know who we are trying to reach, most of our programming is now focused on identifying them, celebrating them, helping them to grow. So we have what we call our 5 fishing guidelines for outreach and evangelism, which as a member of the church, we're going to encourage you to be part of as you finish the class 101 tomorrow when the 4th session comes in. All right, we know who we are looking for. We're looking for the Cyber Embassy Michael and Cyber Embassy Mary. We go where the people are biting. Okay, they want to say where the fish are biting, but people are not fish, but we're using the analogy of fish. Okay, you don't want to go to where people are not interested in the world or where they're not interested in anything to do with Christianity. You go to where the fish are biting, where they are interested. People who have challenges. People who are looking for solutions. People in a transition. People who have just divorced. People who have just married. People who have just moved to a certain area. People who are looking for financial salvation and all of that stuff. So we go where they are in discussion groups, forums, social platforms. So we know the characteristics of the people we're trying to reach. Maybe that's how we reach you too. If you are watching this right now, we go to where they are. We know those people with those characteristics. We try to identify the forum, social media platform they're active in, and we go there to look for them. We teach our evangelism team to learn to think like those people. In other words, to think like the equivalent of fish, so to speak. As Jesus says, we should go and fish for men, right? So we are not saying this in a derogatory manner. We're saying that let's go a fishing type of thing that Jesus told his people to go, basically go fish for men, not fish like Peter. All right. So we want them to learn to think like those people we target. If you want to reach people who are struggling with divorce, you have to know how to think about them like them. If you want to reach people who are trying to use the internet to get financial solvency, you have to know how to think like them, because you have to be able to speak their language. You have to be able to reach out to them. If you want to reach out to singles, you have to be able to speak their language, because when you join their forum, you're not going to go in there blasting and talk about Jesus. You're going to blend with them. You're going to identify with them. You're going to understand what they're about. So we try to reach people on their terms. We understand the type of people we have been asked to reach. I just described them to you. These are people that live flexible lifestyle. So that's why, for instance, our church services are flexible. Yes, we do it at a certain fixed time on Sunday, but we make it available as a community watch a couple of hours after. We run adverts to it so that we make sure the recorded version of it is on YouTube, is on Facebook, is on our different handles, so that people can watch it at their own time. Same way with our Bible study. And then we have membership area where most of our programmings are going to be stored, so that even when you miss it, you can log in as a member of the church, go to the program that you want to watch, and then watch it. So that way we are flexible in everything. The only thing that is not compromisable is the word. The word is the word. The way it was 2,000 years ago is what it is this year. But the means of delivering the word is what changes. Jesus obviously didn't use PowerPoint 2,000 years ago. Paul didn't use PowerPoint. We are using PowerPoint today. Okay, churches 1,000 years ago do not use video to do preaching. We use video today. We use banner. We use text. Those are means of delivering the kingdom message. But the kingdom message can never be compromised. I'm as conservative as they come when it comes to that. But in terms of delivery, for instance, I don't use King James Bible to preach because most people today don't even understand the English of King James. So why are you using it to preach to them? Why are you asking them to go and read it? They're not going to understand it. There are much more modern forms of the Bible out there, because the Bible that you read that don't make sense to you cannot change you. The Bible where you have to start Googling to see and you to go find out what it means is not going to be useful to you. That's why I favor a lot of those modern Bible. The Message is my favorite Bible right now. Why? Because it speaks in like street English. You can really see it happen in the sense that it is so relevant to today's English. Although some very conservative people will try to tell you, oh, that is not the Bible of Jesus. Jesus himself did not use King James. Nobody in terms of Jesus speak like the kind of English that is in King James. They didn't even speak English. So don't deceive yourself and say King James English is the one that is closest to what Jesus says. Not true. Even in direct translation from the Aramaic and the Greek languages that the Bible was written, both Old and New, the direct translation to today's English, the Message is actually more accurate. We're not getting to that argument, but on another forum, I can prove it to you. The Message is actually much more accurate in a direct translation of what Jesus really said when he was speaking his Aramaic street language today than what King James did. Because King James was written in the language of the King's Court, the way they speak in the King of King Henry in those days, which is very different from the way we speak today. So when you read King James, you're actually going to be missing a lot of intonations and interpretations. In King James, for instance, charity means love. Do you know of anybody that will read charity today and think love in their mind? But yeah, that's what is in King James. When you read it, most of the references to love, they have the word charity there. When people hear charity today, they are thinking something totally different. That's what I mean by reading modern translated English so that you can really get into the word. The word is spirit. And it can't get into your spirit if you don't even understand the basics of it. But this is not about arguing which Bible is better. In my understanding, the way I was taught, the best Bible is the one that you read and understand well. So if King James is what you read well and you understand well, good luck to you. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. The best Bible is the one that you actually read. Okay? All right? We use more than one book, one hook to try to influence people. We use video, we use text, we use graphics, we use multimedia platforms, we use empowerment training, we use events, all in the bid to be able to find common ground with people so that by all means, we can let Christ save them, according to Paul. So when you see us doing empowerment event that even has nothing to do with the Bible, don't be surprised. We are putting hooks in the water. We are finding common ground. When you see us organize workshops to help people, that is not necessarily talking about the Bible. It is because we are putting hooks out there so that by all means, we can find a common ground that gives us opportunity to be able to share the good news of Christ. All right, so there are two graphics that describe our strategy as a church that you need to focus on very well. You are going to be very familiar with this as you go on in the class series. Remember the class series, Christian Life and Service Series is what we are calling it. So that we have 4 levels of it. You're actually in level 1 now. So we have what is called the circles of commitment. And I'm going to explain that in a second. These are the levels of commitment in our church. And then we have the class, I like to call it the baseball diamond. because in American parlance, it's shaped like a baseball. But I don't want to talk about like a baseball field. But we're not going to focus on that. Just see it as a 4-level class. It's the 4 trainings we take you through to bring you to a cycle where you're now ready to maximize yourself in the church. But let's take it one by one. The 5 circles of commitment. We recognize what is in every church. Though some churches may not realize that consciously, but every church has a community. The community of every church is the people that you can reach. The unchurched, those who are not coming to your church yet, those who don't know anything about your church, the unbelievers, the believers, everybody that your ministration can reach is considered your community. So technically for Cyber Embassy, the community for us is the world of people that we can reach with our adverts and with our administrations, okay? Those are the unchurched. So our circle of commitment is to try to keep getting people to move deeper into our circle of commitment. As you can see, the community is the biggest circle of commitment where nobody has any commitment about each other. That's where you come from. You are the community. Some community are people that don't know anything about us, but one day they just see an alert or they see a notification or they run across one of our videos or they run across one of our live programs and they say, let me check it out. From there, we want to do stuff in the community to encourage people to be part of the crowd. So you're going to see us do community programs, like a free seminar for everybody, like what we're planning our Kingdompreneur Empowerment Workshop for everybody who are interested in Christ to come and learn how to use the internet to make money for themselves. So we're calling it Kingdom Netpreneur Workshop, for instance. That is a program for the community. We're going to advertise it. We're going to promote it to lots of people who have never heard about us so that they can come to that program. In that program here, we're going to teach them how to empower themselves on the internet. But somewhere in there, we're going to mention that the church is the one sponsoring this. We're going to tell them about our church program. The idea is we're trying to get them to become part of the crowd. The crowd are those who attend the church every once in a while. Okay, they come in, maybe they come in one Sunday a month or 2 Sundays, or they attend a Bible study, or maybe they see one or two of our programs out there online, and they say, well, I love this, I want to be part of this, every once in a while, but they don't see us as their church yet. But they know about us, and every once in a while they gather. Maybe when we do a community program, they come. Those are what we call regular attenders. That's where you were before. Now, as you become a part of the crowd, which is regular attenders, you can see that circle is smaller than the outer one. Now, we want to also get you to get more committed into the church by becoming part of the former congregation. That is the next circle as you go deeper in our circle of commitment. Those are the people that are members. And that is what you are doing right now. That's what Class 101 is about, to get you to formalize yourself here. Because once you finish this Class 101, you are now officially a member of the congregation with all the rights and all the requirements that entails. So I congratulate you for getting into our 3rd circle of commitment in such a short time. You have moved from the community to the crowd. Now you are in the congregation. And the idea is that once you finish this Class 101 tomorrow, and you get your certificate as a membership, you get your access to the membership area and all that, and you get all the goodies that we have for our members. We are now going to be encouraging you to become a committed member. A committed member is somebody who is doing something to help in the church. Maybe it's also somebody who follows the principles of the church, who tries hard to help us share the ministry of the church and all that. And that is Class 201. Somebody who is also becoming mature as a Christian. So we recommend Class 201 for you, which is discovering spiritual maturity. What are the 4 habits of a spiritually mature Christian? How can you start to practice them in your life? How can you get better as you are right now? That's Class 201, which is the next class after you do this 101. Then after that, we also have Class 301, which is to encourage you to start participating in the ministry of the church. Those are the core members. That's why you have the church workers, the church ministers, the church preachers. See, we continue to try to get you. Some people will stay in this congregation forever. They will never grow more committed. That's okay. Some people will get committed. They will never get into the area of the core where they are serving as ministers in the church. And that's also okay. Everybody will not be core. As you can see, core is the smallest circle. Those are the lay ministers. Those are the workers. Those are the preachers. And then after that, the next bigger circle is the committed. Those who are there for the church. Maybe they pay their tithe, they give their offering. Every once in a while, they are there when they see themselves as members of the church, and they are doing one thing or the other to be better as Christians personally. Then the bigger circle, then the congregation. Most churches, many of their members never grow more committed, and that's okay. What will be wrong is if your core is bigger than your congregation, then that's an imbalanced growth. The natural growth is that community will be bigger than the crowd, which are regular attenders. Then the crowd will be bigger than the congregation, which are the regular members. And the congregation will be bigger than the committed members. And the committed members, obviously, will be more than the lay ministers. Those are our circles of commitment. And we have programming for each part of this circle of commitment. For instance, we have a program that is only for our church members. For instance, the TCE Academy, which is a training and certification school for people who want to certify in different levels of digital business. Okay, it's only for our congregation. They get most of the programs there free, and if they're even paying anything, it's going to be something very token, maybe like 10-15% of the normal price. Everybody else out there, because that's what part of what we use to fund the church operations. So the programs are available to the public to pay for, but members of the church get to attend most of it for free or for a very token amount. Those are part of the benefits. There are workshops we do all the time. There's a weekly training that I do on digital business only for members. So that the same way for core ministers, there are other things that are exclusive to them. They are in my inner circle, where the training I do for them is only once a month, for instance, but you have to be a member of that inner circle to come to that advanced classes. So all our programming, the spiritual ones, the secular ones, the social ones, all of it, we have different programming for different parts of the circle of commitment. The next symbol that you should pay attention to is what we call our class academy, which is a Christian life and service series. The objective of this is to take you through 4 different classes, certify in those 4 classes to help you to grow as a member, while at the same time also helping you to grow personally as a mature Christian, then helping you to grow into ministry, and also helping you to grow into where you are part of the mission. Again, it ties back to the circles of commitment. So as you get, the first base we want you to get to is to be a committed member, and that's class 101. See, once you know Christ, because class 101 is for those who know Christ, that's why the first part of it is to help those who have not yet known Christ to come to that conclusion. So class 101 level series is for you to know Christ. And once you've done that, we want you to become, you take class 101, to become a committed member. Immediately you finish class 101, we want to get you to go to second base, which is for you to grow in Christ. And the class to do that is class 201. Once you have done class 201, that means you have got to second base. For those of you who understand baseball, you know you have to touch all, you have to get to all the bases, first base, second base, third base, and then you score on the fourth base. That's where that means you have completed the cycle for you to be able to score. So we get into base 2, which is class 201, which is the habits of spiritual maturity. This is for you to help. We don't want to have a church where people are not growing in Christ. So class 201 does that. Immediately you do that, we also going to start encouraging you to take the 300 level classes. The first one is class 301, at least the main one. We're going to have sub classes that are made for those ones, but the only ones, these compulsory ones for you to graduate from our class academy is class 301 now, which is how to discover your spiritual gifts. Every one of us was sent to this earth with a certain purpose. So, and we help you to discover your shape to fulfill your purpose. So we help you, the class actually walks you through the shape training, how to discover your spiritual gifts, your heart, what are the things that are your ability, your personalities, your experiences, and now you can use that to pick the best business, the best life for you to run on this earth, and also the best ministry for you to serve in our church. We believe that your service in church and what you do in life should be homogeneous. They should be synchronous. You shouldn't have an epileptic lifestyle where what you do relates nothing to do with what you do for Christ. You are put on this earth for a specific purpose. And that purpose should be the same, or at least should be related, whether you're serving it in church or you're doing it in your personal life. Class 301 helps you do that. We've seen lots of people achieve breakthrough in their business, in their personal lives, after taking this class 301, because the lessons you learn there, the exercises you do there helps you in every area of life. So I encourage you to aspire towards that. Once you finish class 101, you want to quickly sign up for class 201. It's another 4-session class that takes a 1 week only. After that, you want to take class 301, another 4-session class. And then finally, class 401 is to train you to be an effective person in the Great Commission. At the end of the day, every one of us is going to be judged on how personally we pursued the kingdom agenda on earth. Class 401 will equip you to do that in a way where you can then start your own ministry, or whether a church ministry or a business ministry. I don't believe that everyone who wants to serve God must serve in the church. Your ministry could be to the real estate community. Yours could be to, mine could be to lawyers. I was ordained the wealth apostle by Dr. Miles Monroe, because he told me I need to go into the business world and teach people how to follow Christian principles, not necessarily to go and be preaching, be born again or not be born again, but let your work show them. Let your ethics show them what the kingdom is about. So that is the second a graphic that you want to pay attention to. You are right here now. We're trying to get you to first base, which you will get to tomorrow as you finish at the fourth part of this session. And immediately you finish that, please be on the lookout. We are going to be sending you some information, encouraging you to sign up for the class 201, which is the next level in the class academy. And when you graduate all 4 series, that certain gifts to give you, you get a certificate for having graduated from the class academy of the Cyber Embassy of Christ. And then there are also some benefits that accrue to you automatically for having been a graduate of the class academy. And every step of the way also you get a certificate for each step that you complete. Okay, but you graduate as an academic graduate where you have finished all the 4 classes. So basically that's it. So we're going to come. So yeah, the 4 commitments we make to ourselves as we begin to bring this session to a close. As a member of our church, there are 4 commitments that everybody make to each other and to God. So there are 4 commitments that you need to be aware of. And as a member of the church, we have the commitment number 1, the membership commitment. This is a commitment to Christ and the church family. When you finish this class 101, you are basically making that membership commitment. Okay? And we took that from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 19, where the Bible says you are members of God's very own family, and you belong in God's household with every other Christian. So this is the goal of class 101, the one that you are doing that you're going to complete tomorrow. That is basically you making a membership commitment. And we actually have a commitment, a document that you sign. Not that anybody's ever going to take you to church, to court, but for you to remind yourself that this is a commitment that you are making. The second commitment is the maturity commitment that we want every member to make. Okay, it is a commitment to the habits necessary for spiritual growth. Because the Bible tells us in 2 Peter 3:18, continue to grow in grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is the goal of class 201, to help you to make that maturity commitment. Now, the commitment is to yourself. The class is to show you how to make that commitment. Just like class 101 is training you how to make a commitment to be a member of a church. And we're going to break down those commitments in the last session, at least the commitment that applies to this class. I'm going to break down to you what that means and what that means for you. And then maturity commitment is class 201, which you want to be very, very vocal about. And then commitment number 3 is the ministry commitment. This is a commitment to discovering and using my God-given gifts and abilities in serving God and others. God has given each of you special abilities. Be sure to use them to help each other. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10. This is what this is based on, and this is the goal of class 301, the one you're going to take after class 201. You want to, the whole idea of class 301 is to help you to discover and use your God-given abilities in serving God and others. And the foundation for that is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 2. We encourage you after class 201, please also do class 301 to be able to make that ministry commitment to yourself and to your God. And of course, the fourth commitment is the missions commitment. This is a commitment to share the good news with others. You will be my witnesses for me to the ends of the earth. Acts chapter 1, verse 8. When Jesus came back, that's what he told them. And the Great Commission. So this commitment is the goal of class 401. To teach you, to show you, to train you how to make the missions commitment to yourself, which is a commitment to share the good news with others. As you can see, this class 101, 201, 301, and 401, they've been carefully put together to make you a balanced Christian, fulfilling his or her purpose right here on this earth, to equip you to be able to be the best Christian that you can be, both as a person, as a husband, as a wife, as a leader, as a worker, as a business owner, every area of life. These four commitments are very important to us. Remember, I said in the very first sessions that one of the things that bind us together as a church is our commitments. So those are the four major commitments that we expect every member to aspire towards making. And we have provided the training to make that possible. Class 101 is the one for membership commitment. When we are done with that tomorrow, we're going to encourage you to sign up for class 201 so that you can then make the second commitment, which is the maturity commitment. Hopefully, this class is making sense to you, was carefully put together so that everything can make sense as you are going through each phase. We don't believe in just doing church for church's sake. We have a reason and a purpose for everything that we try to make clear every step of the way for you. All right, that is the end of session 3. And I want to congratulate you for finishing the third part of the 4-part class 101. Tomorrow, we are going to be ending the the class 101 with the fourth session. We're going to talk about the cyber embassy structure. It's important for you to understand how the church is structured, why it is structured like that, your place in it, your role in it, what is required for you as a member, and what you can require from the church as a fully functioning member of this church. I look forward to seeing you in the fourth session of this class, which is the cyber embassy structure. All right, that's it for today, for today's session. Now let me take some of your questions. Again, if you have any questions, now is the time for you to post it. I want to make sure I put the right session in there so that, oops. Yes, we're talking about this session is about the cyber embassy structure. Just wanted to make sure that's the last slide on there so that there's no confusion when you are watching this. So if you have any questions concerning any of these things that I've said, please post it in the chat box. If you are watching the recorded version of this or you are with us live, it doesn't matter, just post it. Every time you post, we see that in your members area and people will respond even if you are not watching this live. For those of us watching live, I'm going to take your questions now. I'll stop the recording and then I'll take your questions offline. But if you're watching this and it's a recording that you're watching, please post your questions in the members area and the chat box, and somebody will respond to it if it's a question we need. Or you can simply send us a message at admin@thecyberembassy.org or post a comment in the members area on Facebook. We use that a lot, the Facebook group, the Cyber Embassy main church. You see it when you search on Facebook, the group itself. That's where our official members actually use, as opposed to the page that is open to the whole world. The Cyber Embassy group on Facebook is our group on Facebook. And of course, we also have our groups on our website, thecyberembassy.org, where all the forums and everything is. I encourage you to check out the cyberembassy.org. Everything that you need to be able to enjoy fullness as a member of our church is there. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. It has been a pleasure for me to personally take this class on behalf of the Cyber Embassy of Christ and on behalf of all the leadership of the Cyber Embassy of Christ, All Internet Church. We love you, and we are happy that God sent you here at this season. And we look forward to you doing exploits for God in your own season, in your own talent, in your own way. And I believe every one of us will be the better for it, for you coming to Cyber Embassy of Christ at this point in time. The Lord bless you really good. I'll see you tomorrow. This is Pastor O, and I'm out.